All right. Shalom. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God or Jehovah. But in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, the true name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh, which means He is or He exists. Okay? Bahasham means in the name in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, and Yahweh Shai is the true name of the Messiah, our Lord, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus the Christ. But in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, His true name is Yahweh Shai, which means He delivers or He is deliverer. All right, and that's an omen, because when Yahweh Shai returns, He's coming to gather the elect. Okay? I want to give double honors to my apostles, to the bishops, to the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, which taught me this truth, who are the true leaders of Israel today, and also peace, love, blessings, and salutations unto the elect scattered across the four winds of the earth. All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. And ultimately, this lesson is going to be touching on the elect. All right, and before I get into this lesson, Salakia, let me put my phone on airplane mode real quick so I don't get any distractions. But ultimately, this lesson is surrounding the elect. All right, and this is a topic that only the men of Great Millstone and the affiliates of Great Millstone touch on, go into. Right, we're the only ones, beginning with our apostles, elders, bishops, elders of GMS on down. We're the only ones that go into the elect. These other Israelite camps, all they talk about is 12 tribes worldwide, waking up all of Israel, saying that they got to go into these other countries and spread the message. But the Lord made that simple. The Lord made it to where we don't have to leave this country, right? Babylon, to get this message out, right? That's why He gave us the internet. When you read Psalms, the 19th chapter, matter of fact, you know what? Let's grab it real quick. When you go to Psalms, the 19th chapter, right? It says a psalm to the chief musician, a psalm of David, or Dawadah, which Dawadah in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew means beloved. And ultimately, that's talking about King David, but also that represents the elect, the house of David, or Bayath Dawadah, meaning the house of David, or beloved, right? Going into the elect. But, to stay on track, to stay on topic, not to stray away from the topic, continuing on, it says, the heavens declare the glory of the Most High, and the firmament showeth His handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. Right, and ultimately this truth is ongoing. Okay, constantly the internet is constantly being flooded with this message of Yahweh Bashim Shai, of His return, of the wrath that He's bringing, of Him gathering His elect from the four corners of the earth and beaming them up, and ultimately taking down Esau's power structure, man, and getting the earth in order. That's the gospel. That's the good news, man. And the internet, mainly YouTube, is being flooded with this knowledge, with this truth, which is why Esau is in panic mode, right? That's why he's always trying to constantly regulate the internet. Eventually, he's going to, take down brothers' channels and videos, which really that'll be through the Spirit of the Lord, which that's the famine of the word. When you read Amos, the 8th chapter, I believe the 11th verse, which I'll grab that next. It says, day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Yeah, and you have brothers that can speak different languages. Okay, so there's no excuse. All right, you got brothers that know sign language. So this is truly the Spirit of the Lord. This is when you read in the book of Acts, this is pretty much the book of Acts all over again, right? When the apostles ultimately received this word and they went out and taught. Okay, And the same thing is going on now. Okay. And this is truly a miracle from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So yeah, you got brothers that know sign language, so on and so forth, man. But this word is going throughout the four winds of the earth, day in and day out. You got brothers that's live streaming and uploading videos in the morning, in the wee hours of the morning, midday, afternoon, in the evening, at night, constantly, man. All right. Verse 4 being the point, their line is going out through all the earth. And it says their line. And when you get on the internet, what does it say? When you get when you get an internet connection, excuse me, right? It says you're online. Okay. It says, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. But the point being, it says their line is going out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world, right? From the east to the west, the north to the south, right? This word is going around the four winds of the earth via the internet, especially whenever brothers live stream, right? You can get on the Apostles channel when they're live streaming, and you can see, and not just the apostles, but the elders and brothers, different camps of Great Millstone, where you'll have people tuning in from South Africa or wherever, Peru, Mexico, so on and so forth, man. All across the four winds of the earth, this truth is being made manifest, man. And that's through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Now, I said I was going to grab this next in Amos, because this truth is not going to always be around. Okay? Amos chapter 8, verse 11, behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. So that time is coming to where this truth ain't going to be easily accessible anymore, man, like it is now. Because right now it's the grace period, man. And ultimately right now, this is, the Lord has this grace period for the elect. Okay, because only the elect is going to hearken unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and hearken to his word. See, the 2/3, this word is going to condemn the 2/3, man. Right? And soon that time is coming, because you have people that watch our videos, scoffers. Hell, just go to Elder Manata Zakbar's channel and the Lord put the spirit on the beloved elder ultimately to upload the scoffing of Jake, man, right? And they're going to be condemned at the end of the day, right? But when it comes to the elect is going to come fully into this truth, okay? And ultimately, that's who this word is for. I mean, it's for the 2/3 as well, so that they can receive judgment, but they're not going to realize it until it punches them in the face. But the elect is taking heed early. When they hear this word, the Lord puts that breath into them, which I'm going to get into all of that. And ultimately, their spirit is sparked, and they become enlightened, and then ultimately they continue to watch the videos and to read and to take their notes, and they get built up until ultimately they're fully persuaded to come into this knowledge, and for the ones that are teachers, they go out to the highways and teach and prophesy, man. All right. Verse 12, it says, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord Yahweh, and shall not find it. Yeah, so those 2/3, those scoffers, soon they're going to be looking for the prophets. But the prophets are going to be hidden. Right now, the Lord has the prophets in plain sight. Okay, everybody knows about the Israelites. Okay, it's not a secret. Okay, even your biggest, so-called celebrities, they know about the Hebrew Israelites, to the point to where they make mention of the Hebrew Israelites. So it ain't going to be no excuse for these 2/3. So everybody knows about the Israelites. But soon the Lord is going to have it to where the prophets are going to, where he's going to remove his prophets, right? Because things are going to get too bad. You already see how, these elites via Trump, using Donald Trump, which he's not of the elite. He's a low level luminary. But when it comes to these, elite banking families, ultimately, the Lord is putting the spirit on them to regulate free speech, And soon we're not going to be able to go out to the highways anymore. And they're going to persecute the prophets, right? But the 2/3 are not going to have this truth anymore. They're not going to be able to go onto YouTube and watch our videos. And the whole time when they was watching our videos and laughing, they should have been getting built up. And they're going to regret it. But it's going to be too late, man. And they're going to be searching for this truth, but it ain't going to be available unto them. Okay? And they're going to be destroyed. Right? But ultimately, like I said, this lesson is centered around the elect. Okay? Now I want to start in let's go to Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. Okay? Real quick. Because the Lord gave this truth. Ultimately, he put the spirit on Elder Abba Bivens to not only go into the Old Testament, but to go into the New Testament, teaching on the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, and as time went on, more men came into this truth, and the Lord had it to where the knowledge increased more and more and more and more and more, to the point to where you have our main apostles teaching the full 100% truth, and the bishops and the elders on down, to where we can teach this truth in its fullness, so to speak, right? But anyways, Ezekiel the 37th chapter, and I'm gonna start at I'll start at verse 1. The hand of the Lord Yahweh was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord Yahweh, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones. Right, the valley representing a low area of land, right? Because you have mountains and you have hills, and then you'll see like a valley, which is like a low area of land, because mountains and hills are kind of like on high, but a valley is pretty much in a low area. Now the valley represents America, because when you think about it spiritually, this place is low when it comes to its morality. Okay, you can do whatever you want, be whatever you want. You can be the biggest degenerate that you want to be, and this place has no standards, man. So it's very low. You see how the rest of the world looks at America as a bunch of uncivilized beasts, okay? Because when it comes to America, there's no limit to your wickedness, man. And and Esau has spread this madness through democracy across the four winds of the earth, this wicked wine. And now these other nations are following suit. So ultimately, man, the Lord is going to come and destroy this place. But it starts with this word going out. So it had to be a process. This word had to go out, and the elect had to be risen up. The prophets had to be risen up. Okay, and that's why we're seeing the end of this devil's rulership, man. So it says, which was full of bones. The bones representing, Israel, Israel in a dead state of mind, man. Okay, like when you read Revelation, the 8th chapter, it goes into the dead bodies, meaning lying in this great city. The great city representing America, Babylon, man. Okay. It says, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry, in a dried up state. Okay, if you think about a plant that's not getting the proper nutrients or nutrition or water or sunlight, it's going to eventually dry up and wither away. And that's the state that the 2/3 are in, man, because they have no truth. The truth representing the nutrients, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding representing the nutrients that they need to sustain themselves in order to be full. Okay, be in this complete state, so to speak, man. Right? But ultimately they're dehydrated. They're in a dried up state. They don't have the water. The water ultimately symbolically representing this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Now, when it comes to the prophets, the hopeful elect, the Lord has given us, this water. He has watered us to where we're getting the proper nutrients and nutrients that we need in order to sustain ourselves, in order to properly grow and flourish in this truth. Okay. Now it says, verse 3, and he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, thou knowest. Again he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones. See, this prophesying is very important, man. And not just, well, let me say it like this. Prophesying is very important, but prophesying the truth. Okay, and ultimately, if you ain't speaking this truth, you ain't prophesying anyways, man. You're a false prophet. Okay, but prophecy is very important. Like it says in Revelation, the 19th chapter, in the 10th verse, right? I'll grab that real quick to show you how important prophecy is, man. Revelation chapter 19 and 10, and I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai, worship the Most High. For the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. Okay, so prophesying is very, very important. Okay, but you got these other Israelite camps. Then they don't go into the prophecies, and when they do, they mangle it, whether it be on purpose or they just don't, don't know how to properly break it down sincerely, right? But mainly these guys have sold out, but they don't go into the prophecies, man. Or like I said, they'll butcher or mangle the prophecies and they won't give you the correct breakdowns or the correct understanding. But over here at GMS, Great Millstone, we're letting you know the whole truth. Okay, we're not adding to the scriptures to try to make you feel good. We're not taking away from the scriptures. We ain't holding nothing back, beginning with the elder apostles on down, man. Okay, and the elder bishops on down, right? Now let's go back to Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. And I believe I was on verse 4. Ezekiel 37 and 4. Again he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones. So that's the point of the prophets being on the highways and byways, man. All right. And say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai power. Unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. Okay, now the breath representing this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay, we were inspired because another word for breath is inspire, right? You can get inspired from the word breath. Okay, so the Lord put his breath into us, breathed his breath of life into us, and we were inspired and compelled to come into this truth and to teach. Okay, and that's how the Lord ultimately, that's the process of the Lord of how he used, regular men to teach this word, to wake up other men, and in all hopes that we're of the elect and that we can be delivered, man. Because like I said, only the elect is going to be delivered. If you're not of the 144,000 or that large multitude, you're not going to make it on the first go around. You're not going to make it when Yahushua returns, man. You're going to be destroyed. Okay, you're going to taste of that second death, the lake of fire, when those 200 million nuclear warheads rain down upon America. And that's how this place is going out. Okay. Verse 6, it says, let me go back to verse 5. Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. Right before we came into this truth, we was in a dead state when we were, when we were once a part of the world. Okay, we didn't have the breath, so we were in a dead state. If you don't have breath in you, you're dead. Okay, but when you have breath, you're alive. So when the Lord put his breath into us, we became alive. We became quickened. Okay, what's that in? I think that's Salah. Let's see. Bear with me real quick. I may have to type it in. Salakia. Khan. Salakia. And the water Yahweh Shema Shai. This is it right here. St. John chapter 6, verse 63. It is the spirit that quickeneth. Okay. The spirit, the Rakah Kodash, the Holy Spirit. Okay. The breath of life. It is the spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Okay, so this word quickens us, meaning to be made alive via this word that are spoken from regular men, prophets, vessels that the Lord speaks through. Okay, it says the words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. You see that? So this word is what quickens us. This word is what brings us to life. All right. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 5 once again. Thus saith the Lord power unto these bones. Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you. You know, the sinews going into, I believe, like the ligaments, you know, your joints, you know, pretty much what makes up your body, right? And will cause Salakia. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you. And ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So I prophesied as I was commanded. So going out to the highways and byways and prophesying, that's a commandment of the Lord. Okay, you have these other counts. They'll say the laws, the statutes, the commandments, this and that. But then their leaders, they don't even go out to the highways anymore, man. You know, they're sitting in these, you know, comfortable rooms with air conditioning, or if it's the wintertime in these, you know, and when it comes to the wintertime, forget about it. You know, most of their whole camps don't even go out in the wintertime. But they'll be sitting in these, you know, nice, you know, rooms and facilities with the heat blowing. They don't even go out. But the Lord commanded us to go to the highways and hedges, to the highways and byways, and to prophesy, man. Okay? In season and out of season. Right? But anyways, let's go back to verse 7. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And ultimately, this is the Lord, you know, bringing back the prophets of old, okay, and standing upon their feet and prophesying, okay, getting his word out, like it says in Revelation, the 11th chapter, Revelation chapter 11, verse 11. And after 3 days and a half, a period of 350 years, okay, for a period of 350 years, the Lord took his name away from us. He took his wisdom, knowledge, and understanding away from us. And we were pretty much just in a dead state, okay, from around 1619, right, when we went into hardcore chattel slavery under Esau, Edom. What did he do? Ultimately, the Lord used him to beat our heritage out of us, okay? And just like, you know, they caught, you know about when Esau caught his slaves reading, he would whoop them, right? But when he caught the slaves, which is Jake, right, reading the Bible, he would put them to death. I wonder why. Okay, and they also had the slave Bible. When they took out certain, you know, precepts and certain books that they didn't want Jake to hear, because they feared that Jake would be inspired by the Lord and come back to their senses. And that's been Esau's whole MO, to try to keep this truth away from us, man. Okay, these devils have spent billions, maybe even trillions of dollars trying to hide the fact that we are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites. Okay, but through the Spirit, the Wadi Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, he had his remnant, his elect. Okay. So from around 1619 to around 1970, when the Lord rose up High Priest Elder Abba Bibbins to preach this word, like when you read Malachi the 4th chapter, it goes into that, man. When the Lord says that he was going to send back Elijah the prophet before the coming and dreadful day of the Lord, roughly paraphrasing, man, who we believe that man to be Elder Abba Bivens, okay, for whoever can receive it, man, because like we always say, this truth is only for the elect. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. Okay, see, they stood upon their feet, prophesying, man, like what we read in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, in the 7th verse, right? And great fear fell upon them which saw them. Okay, going into these elites, they're terrified of the prophets because they know that the prophets represent their end. So that's why Esau is trying to hurry up and bring in his new world order. That's why he's sloppy, man. He's all over the place. Okay, but this devil, his rulership is over, man. Okay, we're in the last few stages of this man's rulership. Okay, that's why the Lord is exposing this devil. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter. And I want to read verse 9 real quick. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And that starts with the elect. Okay, so that's why you're seeing the elect being risen up. Now I want to jump down to verse 18, right? Because this is going into the end of Esau's rulership. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, right? And the Lord is visiting the earth right now as we speak. You're seeing the UFO sightings, which are the chariots, okay, and those those so-called UFOs, the spaceships, right? Those are the angels of the Lord, and the Lord is revealing the angels unto the whole entire world, man. All right, and that's representing the Lord visiting this place. That's one aspect. The Lord is also visiting the earth via these crazy storms and the tempest, like when you read 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter. Let's grab that real quick. 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 3. As a matter of fact, let's start at verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, right? Paying attention to what's going on in the world and filtering it through the scriptures. That's how we measure the time. That's how we know what times we're in, man. And clearly we can see that we're in the time of the end of this devil's reign, of his rulership, and the beginning of our reign, which we're going to reign forever and ever under Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So we understand that the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, is visiting the earth. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, right? And that's going into ultimately, these natural disasters, these, extremely violent storms, whether the Lord is using Esau to do these things, with his weaponry, like these HARP machines and the cloud seeding and so on and so forth, or whether the Lord is using the angels on the right hand side to bring these violent storms. You're noticing these storms are getting more and more violent. Okay, this is the Lord visiting the earth. And it says also the uproars of the people, everybody out here protesting, right, and getting pissed off. You see how everybody's divided politically, even within, amongst Esau, how the Lord is setting the Egyptians against the Egyptians. The modern day Egyptians would be these Americans, these Edomites. Okay, the Lord has them at each other's throats. Look how the Lord has divided the whole MAGA movement, man. Okay, so every move that the Lord, Salakia, every move that Esau has, the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, has a counter move, man. So this devil, he's cornered, okay, because this is his end, man. He all of that squirming around and scrambling around that he's been doing, like a fugitive on the run. He can't hide no more, man. He can't do all of that wiggling out anymore. Okay, it's over. It's a wrap. Okay, he's cornered. Just like if you watch, if the police do a raid let's say these police, they have a raid, a major drug bust to where they actually get the kingpin and they have him surrounded. That's a wrap. He has this whole SWAT team and FBI and whatever the branches of Esau's police system is, the highest level. Maybe even the military, whatever it takes. Once they're surrounded, it's nothing that they can do, man. Okay, and that's because that's a part of Esau's sword. This is his kingdom. Okay, but that's how the Lord has Esau. Right, Esau's cornered. He's surrounded now, and it ain't nowhere he can go. It ain't nowhere he can hide, man. Okay. It says in uproars of the people of the world. And the point being in verse 3, but I'm going to read verse 4. As a matter of fact, I'll read verse 5 as well. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. The end of what? The end of Esau Edom's rulership, man. Right? Let's read verse 9 again. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world meaning eon, the end of an age, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So a new age is coming in. So it is a new world order that's going to be established, but it's going to be the righteous new world order under Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay? Now let's jump down to verse 18. And it said, Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. Right? And I just gave you a few examples of how the Lord is visiting the earth and will begin to make inquisition of them. So the Lord is inquiring. He's when you go into inquisition, it's when you're ultimately investigating, man. So the Lord, it's an investigation that's going on. And the investigation involves Esau. It's about Esau. He's being investigated via the prophets of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And a case is being made against this devil, man. All right. And will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness. And when the affliction of Sion shall be fulfilled. So the Lord has taken into account all of the wickedness that this devil has done and is still doing today. And is going to be held accountable. And he's going to be judged to the fullest extent of the law. Okay. Verse 20. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away, this age is vanishing away. It's diminishing. Esau's power is diminishing. Okay. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Yeah, you see how these stores, a lot of the, when you look at these grocery stores, are like, if you go on TikTok or YouTube, you can see how these people, they're going to their local Walmart, and a lot of the food, the shelves are they're not fully stocked. Okay, this is the beginning of that, man. The beginning of sorrows, where people ain't going to be able to eat unless they take the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast. Okay, so these prophecies are happening and unfolding right before our very eyes because it's signifying the end of Esau Edom and his rulership, man, and it's signifying the beginning of our reign under Yahweh Shai. Okay, beginning with the elect. Okay. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Yet is warning, the message of the Lord. The prophets have been prophesying for years, right? Beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar. I believe he's 4 decades in the truth. I believe he's 40 years in now, man. Okay, imagine that. Elder Apostle Gabar around, 37, maybe 37, 36 years, close to 40. Elder Apostle Rakar around the same time. Elder Apostle Ryan Blob, pretty much probably, I believe, going on 36 years, maybe more. And the elder bishops, man, 30 years in. okay, on down to the elders, this truth has been going out for decades, man. So there is no excuse, okay? So, this warning is going out, the message, and now we're beginning to see the fruits of this word, these prophecies coming to pass, and people are getting afraid, okay? They're seeing it play out now, okay? A lot of these people, which a lot of these 2/3, they're seeing what's going on, but see, the Lord got them blinded, because clearly they would say, you know what? Everything that these guys, these Hebrew Israelites are saying is happening. So maybe I need to listen to them, right? See, that's the mindset of the elect. But see, the 2/3, they're going to scoff because the Lord got them blinded, pursuant to Romans, the 11th chapter. Okay, it says, they shall, Salakia, be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one another like enemies. You're seeing that, man. Everybody's divided. Okay. People who were once cool, maybe they grew up together. Maybe they went to college together, or they might have had this job that they worked for a long time and became good friends. But all of a sudden, these people are divided now, politically, and what's going on with the world. They could be at odds. Okay. You have some people becoming enlightened, right? So this is all through the Spirit of the Lord. You have some people, they'll become enlightened, and maybe their friend isn't enlightened, and they're going to clash. Things are getting tight. Okay, people ain't making the money that they used to make, so people are at odds with one another, man. This is all through the Spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai. This is all signifying Yahweh Shai returning, okay, and raising up his prophets, the elect. And those, Salakia, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and 3 hours they shall not run. Verse 25. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. Yeah, that's going into the elect. Okay. The ultimately the elect is going to be delivered. They're going to see the salvation of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me end off on this. Let's go to Matthew, the 24th chapter. All right. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 31. And he said, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. All right. And that's this word, gathering the elect across the four winds of the earth. Right. Like when I went into Psalms, the 19th chapter, the Lord is using the internet to broadcast his word across the four winds of the earth. Okay. And the elect is being risen. Okay. And ultimately they're going to get beamed up by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay. Like it says in what's that, Revelation, the 11th chapter, in the 12th verse. Let's read the 12th verse. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud. Now the cloud being cold talk for the chariot. Okay, the fathership, man, of Yahweh Shai. You're going to see the elect get beamed up. Okay. And that's how we're going to get up out of here, man. It says, and their enemies beheld them. And you can read that in, I believe that's Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, when it goes into pretty much our enemies are going to see us, Lord willing, I'm of the elect, get beamed up, man. Okay. And that's when they're going to know that the prophets were right the whole time, but it's going to be too late for them. Okay. Verse 13, and the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. Right. And this is talking about those nuclear missiles raining down upon Babylon, those warheads, 200 million raining down upon Babylon. And ultimately, the 10th part of the city is talking about America. Now, when you go into it, America is categorized in 10 FEMA regions, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all can go and look it up. OK, but ultimately, this is talking about America, Babylon the Great. And what's going to cause that earthquake? Like I said, those nuclear warheads. beaming down upon America. It says, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the Most High of heaven. The remnant being the elect. Okay, once the elect is beamed up, they're going to be praising Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's why I said, Lord willing, I'm of that number. See, that's why we call ourselves the hopeful elect, because we understand that only the elect is going to make it up out of here, man. Okay, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly, representing World War III. Okay, the second woe being World War II. Of course, we had a World War I. So now we're at the third woe, the beginning stages of World War III, man. But that's all I had. I just wanted to go into the elect, man. Like I said, these other Israelite camps, they don't teach on the elect. But when it comes to Great Millstone, we go into the whole truth, and the elect is included in that, man. But like I said, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to my apostles, to the bishops, to the elders of Great Millstone that rule well with starving this truth, who are the true leaders of Israel today. Peace, love, blessings, and salutations unto the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four winds of the earth. Shalom, shalom, shalom.